In the book of Revelation, chapter 12 says that we have defeated the enemy by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. My mission is to share the stories of how the people around us have encountered God, gone through a trial, or been born again in the hope that you would be encouraged and your heart would be stirred for Jesus Christ.
So I'm Danis Davis, and I live in Anchorage, Alaska. So I was pregnant with our fourth baby, and at the time, my dad, who had Alzheimer's, was living with us, and it was just kind of stressful. And I started losing vision in my left eye, and I thought it was probably like maybe from the pregnancy, maybe from stress. I kind of like brushed it off a little bit. It wasn't super noticeable. I also thought like maybe I'm just needing glasses or something. I noticed it like June probably, and then throughout the summer, it just kind of kept getting worse, and finally I was like, I should probably go get this checked out. I've never needed glasses in my life. I never needed an eye doctor at all. So I ended up going to a close friend of ours, Bob Arnold. He's a pediatric ophthalmologist in Anchorage. And so I called him and was just like, can you just check my eyes and tell me where I need to go or what I need to do? And so he's like, yeah, sure, just come on in today. So I just went into his office and he checked my eyes, and he's like, well, maybe it's like a migraine. Some people can get like weird migraines of like sorts, and then it'll change your vision. Or maybe it's just your pregnancy. We'll just keep an eye on it. Let me know if it doesn't get better. I went home, and by the fall, I was like, you know what? It's definitely getting worse. I'll go back and just see if it's like actually worse. So I went back in, and it was worse, and I didn't really realize it at the time. But he was trying to correct it with a lens, like you can like put the little eye things down, and the lenses weren't correcting the vision. So then he knew it was something along my nerve behind the lens. That doctor was at my sister-in-law's, my niece's birthday party. He was invited to it, and he's like, so how's your eye? I'm like, it's not any better. It's probably getting like quicker worse. And I heard his wife like kind of like pestering him on the side, like, Bob, you need to do something about this. Like, get her to go do something. So I could tell she was concerned. And he's like, you know what, let's just get an MRI. I mean, let's just look for the big things first. And once that's taken care of, then we can start looking for the needle in the haystack. So he told me to call. And so that Monday morning I called, and that was on my birthday. They told me, we can get you in tomorrow morning. That was just like the first place the Lord was just like so near. I have never experienced it quite like that. And that was just like the first moment. I was like, I'm a little claustrophobic. So I was kind of more intimidated about doing the MRI than necessarily like, I didn't even like go into like the what if or like impending doom feeling. You know, I just like, I'm just gonna go do this MRI and we're gonna be done with it and we're gonna move on and figure out what's going on. They like laid me down and they're like, don't move. And they have to put this like thing over my face, like this cage kind of that you're like under. And I didn't even see it. I just closed my eyes. I was like, and so I just like closed my eyes before they put the thing on, and they rolled me back. As soon as I like rolled back, I just thought like, Lord, it just gets to be just you and me for a whole hour. Like, how wonderful. Just been having 3 kids at home. It's just like chaos, and just like I get a whole hour of just quiet alone time with my Lord. That was my first thought. I remember just like after that thought, I felt like this breeze on my face, and the Lord just like brought me this clear picture of a lake out in Port Ellsworth. We had just been out there that summer. My husband and I got to camp on this lake, Lake Contra Shibuna, and it's just like this beautiful. It was just like this gorgeous day that we were out there, and it was just like flat calm. You could see a reflection of the mountains and the lake, and that was just the image that he brought me. It was just like so clearly. It felt like I was just like sitting on the edge of this lake with just like all the space. Yeah, I just like prayed that whole hour, and it was just really sweet. And then it was done, and I went out to the waiting room, and the radiologist, that like the doctor that reads the scan, like he came out himself with my CD with my like images on it. And I still didn't really think much of it. I don't remember thinking like, that's odd. Like, how kind of him to like come out personally. So he like gave me my disc and was like, you need to go back to your doctor right now and bring this to him. Like he's expecting you. He'd probably already seen the images, I'm sure. Yeah, because he was like, Danis, you need to sit down. And we're gonna call Caleb, my husband. Caleb remembers him saying like, you know what, Caleb, there's some times in your wife's life that she just needs you. And this is one of those times. And he said, you have a tumor. It was almost the size of a golf ball. And it is pressing on your optic nerve, and that's why you can't see out of that eye. And he's like, let's just pray. Let's just start by praying. And he prayed for the two of us. By that Friday, so I think that was like on a Tuesday. So my birthday was like on a Monday. I had MRI on Tuesday, and then by Friday, I had a Zoom appointment with a surgeon in Seattle. Let's see, I found out I was pregnant end of May, beginning of June, and this was October that I found out about the tumor, so I was a few months in. The plan that the surgeon had was to just wait. The tumor is like totally encapsulated, meaning that it's like not growing out into other structures of your brain. It's like all contained, but there's a little bit of it that's growing like down your optic nerve, and that's what's pressing against your optic nerve. So it looks like it's super slow growing. It's probably been there for a long time. So ideally, we can wait until you can carry this baby to term. We'll bring you down to Seattle, we'll C-section the baby, and then like the next day or day after, we'll do brain surgery. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. Medications are a little bit more limited while I'm pregnant. The baby could not tolerate surgery and ultimately just like die is like worst case scenario. It was like a very low chance of it happening, but a very high risk. And I was like, well, what about my family? How do we do that? Like, what does that look like? And I remember just like thinking, Lord, I just want the tumor out now, and I want to come home, and I want to have a baby at home with my people. And that was just kind of the prayer of my heart. But I was also like, if we can wait, and that's the safest thing for the baby, then obviously that's what we're going to do. Because basically the biggest risk would be if the tumor presses on my optic nerve for so long, then it causes permanent damage and I could lose my vision in that eye altogether. We live on a lake and the lake froze over. If it hasn't snowed, it's just like really great ice skating. I'm not gonna skate because that seems like unwise. I'm pregnant and have a brain tumor sitting in there. Probably shouldn't skate and fall. But my family was skating and I went out on the ice and helped my 3-year-old, or she was a 2-year-old at the time. I helped her kind of get to the shore, and we were all finished and I fell and I like went back and hit the back of my head really pretty hard. That night, I remember I just couldn't sleep. I was just so scared. It was the first time that I felt scared. Maybe I missed something. Am I okay? Is my vision worse? Like, should I go in? What do I do? And finally I woke Caleb up and was like, I just can't sleep. And he was like, this is just an attack from the evil one. Like, and he prayed the armor of God over me, and the fear, like I slept and the fear was gone. And after that moment, I never once feared for my life. Like the rest of the whole journey, I never had a bit of fear come into my mind or heart. At this point, we're still waiting, right? We were still waiting to have surgery. But then my vision started kind of getting a little bit worse and a little bit worse. And I was going in for vision checks like every week. I started asking for prayer for unity for Caleb and I to decide. Because I'm like, if it's just going to be this slow thing, like at some point we have to decide if we're going to do it or not. And it felt really unclear. And I remember just like, Lord, I just want it to be clear. And I remember praying like, Lord, if I'm supposed to have the surgery before the baby's born, make me go blind. Like just make it very clear. And within that week, I think within 5 days, I was blind in that left eye. So I typically have 20/20 vision. And at that point, my last check, I was at 20/40 vision. After I prayed that prayer at the end of that week, I was at 2400, which was just like, I remember I would like close this eye and try and focus on like the big E at the top of the vision test, and the whole wall would just like go black. It's like I couldn't even see anything. We called the surgeon and gave him my results of like my vision test, and he was like, is this what you want to do? And I felt like it was very clear the Lord was asking us to step in faith and say, yes, we trust you. I don't know if it like the fear came first or if it was just the Lord's voice, but it was just like, he said, I have this baby. I've got this baby. Like so clearly. And I was like, okay, I'm all in, let's do it. The Psalm 23 just like spoke to me He asked me to go into this valley, but he wasn't gonna make me go alone. He just was like, I am here and I know the way, just follow me. I remember just thinking like, I want my nose pressed hard against the back of his back. Like I don't want to go anywhere that he's not taking me. It's been a long time since I've heard his voice like so clearly, but that year I could recognize his voice. And there's been times that I've been just like really frustrated on the other end of like, Lord, where are you? Like I miss that nearness. But I'm in a broken world and it makes me long for heaven and know that there's gonna be a day that I hear his voice all the time. Just to live thankfully that I was able to experience that on this side of heaven and long for it and know that it's a promise for the future. So the safest time to do it for the baby was in the second trimester. Caleb had an elk hunt that he had planned for like over a year with his brother-in-law. We were like, okay, how about you go on your elk hunt and then we'll meet in Seattle and we'll do it on the 17th. He left on the 11th of November or something like that, and then I ended up leaving on the 14th of November. So before Caleb left for his elk hunt, we gathered everybody to pray. Leading up to that prayer night, like that day that we had people coming, I just had a lot of fear for the baby. Like maybe I made the wrong decision. I should just go blind and wait. Like, what am I doing? A little bit. The Lord just spoke to me again and was like, he said, I already told you I've got this baby. And I remember thinking like, okay, great. But what do you mean? Like, you got this baby? Like, you're gonna have this baby? Like, or am I gonna be able to hold this baby? Like, what do you mean here? Like, I want a few more details. And so that night when people came to pray, I asked for prayer over that. I was like, I just have a lot of fear for the baby. I haven't had this fear and I want to go into this without fear. The Lord's given me peace for all this already. I know he can do it. We prayed that night, and at the end of that night, my pastor was there, Levi Smith, and he came up to me at the end of the night when everyone was leaving, and I remember he looked me straight in the eye. He's like, Danis, you're gonna come home with a baby, and you're gonna be able to see. And I just couldn't believe that the Lord was so gracious to give me an audible voice telling me the truth, and that someone else had faith to just believe that he was going to do it. After that, I went into it like so calm. I was so chill. I just I remember people asking me like, because I was traveling by myself down there, because Caleb was already gone on his elk hunt, and people were asking me like, do you want me to travel down there with you? Like I'd get a flight and just to fly with you and back. And I was like, no, I'm good. I'm with my good shepherd. I don't need anyone else. So they did the surgery through my nose. They took the tumor out through my nose. And to do that, they do like a patch kind of back there. And so they'd have to take a little bit of skin from somewhere else, and they typically take it from your abdomen. And I remember them coming in and be like, we're gonna take a little patch of skin from your abdomen. It's like, no, you're not. I'm pregnant. You're not gonna touch my belly. I remember just like being like, that's fine, but no, like just being so chill. And so they ended up taking it like from my thigh, and it was all good. And I remember my mom happened to be there. There was lots of other things happening in my family to make it. So my mom was in Seattle. So she was there, and my husband Caleb was there. And I remember thinking it was going to be really kind of feel like traumatic or something, leaving Caleb to go into brain surgery. I was like, hey, see you after. And my surgery was like 6 hours long, and they got all of it out. Post-op was a lot harder than I was expecting. I went into some different hormone imbalances that cause your electrolytes to be pretty out of whack. So my sodium was super, super low, and sometimes when you have super low sodium, it can be, they think it could be like a stroke or something because you're so like weird. There was one full day where I couldn't think, like I couldn't put two thoughts together. I remember saying like, Caleb, I feel like And I remember my thought that I could put together was, I feel like there's something wrong. But I couldn't even get that thought together to form it into a sentence. They figured it all out, and I got my sodium balance done, and I was black and blue all over my arms from all the IVs and all the different things, but I made it. We got out of the hospital, and we stayed in Seattle for a few extra days, and then we flew home December 2nd. Yeah, I feel like I've just kind of been seeking the Lord since that, and longing for heaven since that, because I miss his voice. Life is chaotic and busy, and now I have 4 beautiful children. Praise the Lord. My 4th baby was named Joella, and she was a surprise if she was gonna be a boy or a girl, and I had to do a C-section with her. We were gonna name her something different, and the Lord gave me the name Joellen. I woke up and just had this name, Joellen. And I looked it up, and it means Jehovah Jireh, the Lord provides. My middle name is Ella, so Caleb changed it to Joella. And so our Joella reminds us always that the Lord provides. Okay, so these are just some of the scriptures that were really powerful to me. I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. My soul makes its boast in the Lord. Let the humble hear and be glad. O magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together. O taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man who takes refuge in him. O fear the Lord, you his saints, for those who fear him have no lack. You make known to me the path of life. In your presence there is fullness of joy. At your right hand are pleasures forevermore. Lift up your eyes on high and see who created these. He who brings out their hosts by number, calling them all by name, by the greatness of his might, and because he is strong in power, not one is missing. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. The law of the Lord is perfect, reviving the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. The precepts of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever, and the rules of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. And I will lead the blind in a way that they do not know. In paths that they have not known, I will guide them. I will turn the darkness before them into light, and rough places into level ground. These are the things I do. I do not forsake them. So I encourage you all to seek the Good Shepherd, who is always saying, stay near me. I know the way.
For anybody who is watching this or anything, what is one tidbit or a piece of advice that you would want somebody to take?
If you're going through something, just seek people to pray over you. I don't think I said it enough. Just how astounding the Lord answered prayer. He wants to call us into places of faith so that he can show up and show himself powerful. To pray and ask boldly for miracles. Also, to rest and know that the Lord will always provide a miracle, and sometimes it might not be in our circumstance. The Lord could have taken my baby and my vision, but the miracle was that he gave me peace. I remember telling the Lord, however long this valley lasts, I know that you're gonna be here with me. So just to pray boldly in faith and seek those to come pray with you. Because there are people praying literally all over the world for me. I was blown away by just how big God's family is.